My name is Kevin Prendergast. I'm the Chief Executive of the Irish Auditing and Accounting Supervisory Authority. So we regulate the auditing and accounting profession in Ireland, and we also have responsibility for overseeing corporate reporting from some of Ireland's largest entities, primarily listed companies. So we've been involved in the development of the Corporate Sustainability Reporting Directive going way back years at this point within the EU. It's EU law, and there are two different elements to it from our point of view. First of all, there was the reporting standards that came in, and we've been assisting various elements within the European Union in the development of those standards. And we have a unit within here, the Corporate Reporting Supervision Unit, that will be looking at in the main listed entities at the end of this year, 2024, and looking what they'll be doing in terms of bringing that in, because it will apply to them from the end of this year. We have a separate unit then, our Audit Quality Unit, which oversees or will oversee the assurance reporting, the sustainability assurance reporting on all of those entities. So from early to mid next year, 2025, they'll be looking at the audit work that has been done on those companies, making sure that's done to the appropriate standard as well. The CSRD is part of the European Green Deal, which is this enormous strategic policy within the European Union to try and make us all greener, more environmentally sustainable, more sustainable for the long term. We are looking at all of these standards, the dozen standards that have come in. We'll be looking at how how companies are going to report on these. So the reporting is going to be at the front end for the most part of companies' annual reports. So what you're going to have is you're going to have a director's report, and we're estimating there's going to be maybe 70 to 80 pages of disclosures within these companies' annual reports, covering all of these up to 1,200 different data points that companies are now going to have to report on. So people might think, oh, this is listed entities, this is large companies, but actually it's the value chain piece that's going to capture the SME sector. Because all those companies that work with these large companies, they're going to start hearing from these companies saying, we need your information so that we can talk about our value chain. And in fact, looking forward, there's plans at European Union level to bring in, on a voluntary basis, sustainability reporting for the SME sector. Historically, corporate reporting has been numbers. It's euro and qualitative information relating to euro. From organisations we've talked to, it does appear as though CSRD is going to be landed on the accounting and corporate reporting finance function as well. You're looking at water use, you're looking at biodiversity, you are looking at social elements such as your own workforce, you're looking at your value chain workforce, you're looking at affected communities, you're looking at steps you've taken in relation to bribery and corruption, you're looking at information in relation to your business relationships. All of these are specific standards. So it's not just euros anymore, it is things like CO2 emissions, it's kilowatt hours, it's all of these other methods of measurement of units that are completely outside the norm. And the challenge you have is, well, first of all, many businesses aren't recording these at all at the moment. They don't have the systems within there to record them. They don't have reporting systems to report them, to allow management to take decisions in relation to them. But one of the new challenges with these new sustainability reporting standards is this concept of double materiality. So as accountants with our financial hat on, we're used to the concept of materiality, what will impact on the financial statements of the business. Double materiality, now you've got to start looking at the impact of the company's activities on outside stakeholders. IASA recognises that this is a huge challenge for business, and in fact, in fairness, so does government. And I know from talking to my colleagues in the Department of Enterprise, one of the big tasks they've set themselves is to try and make sure as many businesses as possible are aware of this. They're putting a lot of work into outreach and working with organisations such as accountancy bodies, such as Accounting Technicians Ireland, to try and make sure there's as much awareness as possible from all areas of the business about what's coming down the track. What we're trying to get to grips with is how we think companies will report this, because we've got to make sure that the requirements under the standards are captured in there somewhere. And if you think historically, how companies have recorded fixed assets or depreciation or sales or profit. Well, we've got about 100 years of experience there where people sort of know how these things are laid out. They know where they're located normally within financial statements. We know what reasonable looks like. We know what we know what true and fair looks like. All of this we're ground zero for all of this. So everybody is learning. And I would say as a regulator, we will be learning as well. When I first became aware of ATI's proposals to create this certified accounting technologist function and the course that they were putting together for it, I immediately recognized that there are going to be elements of this that would be really useful for businesses, because it has obviously the accounting expertise in there, but it also talks about sustainability, it talks about technology, and it talks about governance, and all of that is going to be absolutely critical in order to pull all the different strands of corporate sustainability reporting together. Every business is going to have to require technology to make this work. You're going to have to think about how you put governance in places where you've never really had this sort of corporate governance probably before. If you are reaching out into all of these different areas of the organization, which maybe to a greater or lesser extent have existed somewhat independently of each other and perhaps a little bit more independently than perhaps the finance function, suddenly they're all going to be looking at internal controls and 3 lines of defense and all the sorts of things that maybe the accounting and finance function is used to. So what you're going to need is somebody who can translate very different languages. They can take the language of accounting, they can take the language of governance, they can take the language of technology, take the language of sustainability, and talk to people who are experts in all of these different areas and translate between all of them and communicate all of that then to executive leadership, to boards of directors, to audit committees, and to other stakeholders. So I think the skills that are within this particular new role, this certified accounting technologist role, they are going to be invaluable, I think, to very many businesses. And if you look at sort of wave 1, wave 2, wave 3 in terms of the companies that are going to be coming within scope over the next 2 to 3 years, as people come through, for example, this course, and as they qualify, what you're going to see is more and more demand from thousands of companies. And of course, the other great thing about this, it's not just within Ireland. I mean, there's estimates about 50,000 companies across Europe are going to come under CSRD. And of course, sustainability is not just a European thing. It is global. What the new requirements are going to bring in is just a whole slate of new challenges for the traditional accounting function. So you're talking about hiring new expertise to be able to address that. So increasingly, I think it's going to be more and more difficult for your traditional accountant to be that jack of all trades. It's just going to be very difficult to be the expert in everything. So definitely for larger businesses, what you're going to have is you're going to have people who have niche areas of expertise. So you're going to have a niche area in AI, you're going to have a niche area in tech more broadly, you're going to have a niche area in governance, you're going to have a niche area in sustainability. But I think there is a role potentially to knit all these together and to be somebody who can speak all of these languages. So if you look at something like the Certified Accounting Technologist, then that is a set of training that will map, I think, particularly to the skills required for that sort of role. So obviously, if you're a very small business, you're going to have an accountant, and that accountant will have to sort of get a handle on most things that the small businesses work. But I think if you look at the medium and especially the large sector, they are going to be looking increasingly at specific expertise in specific areas within that broad accounting function. And I think this particular qualification will lend itself to this particular area of expertise and the challenge that's coming over the next few years with CSRD. The Certified Accounting Technologist role, I think, is a great example of the accountancy profession responding at pace to the changes and developments within business and within wider society. So I think as a student or as somebody who is interested in getting into the profession, I think this is a great way to hit the ground running. You're going to learn a lot of skills straight away that are going to be really translatable into business. I think for businesses, they're going to have to look very quickly at the legislation that's been passed in the last week or so. So this is now in law in Ireland, and they need to examine within their businesses what resources do they have at the moment, both human and technological, in order to be able to be in a position to start collating this information and reporting on it next year. So over the medium to long term, this role, but I think the accountancy profession more broadly have a huge amount to contribute in order to make sure businesses and indeed wider society operates in a sustainable manner.